Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. In the near future, the highly decorated Marine John Robbins is being imprisoned for murdering his commanding officer. Having already broken out of 2 prisons, he's now being sent to a maximum security facility run by the unnamed Warden. Knowing his record of military service, he warns John not to start any trouble before throwing him in with his new cellmate. He gives John a piece of bread that he smuggled in and tells him about an island called Absolom where they get sent to if they misbehave. Knowing everything that goes down in his prison, the Warden punishes the man for giving John food, as he only ever gives the bare minimum to survive. He orders John to administer 9 lashes from a taser, and when he refuses, the Warden pulls a gun and threatens to shoot his cellmate otherwise. John swiftly takes him hostage, only to surrender the weapon right away, as he'll probably have a better chance at escaping from the island anyway. A bigger threat than they want to deal with, the Warden has the disruptive newcomer sent away like he'd hoped, but has him dropped in the most dangerous area, where John wakes up covered in rats and surrounded by a tribe of local prisoners called the Outsiders. They capture John and take him back to their village, which is a dilapidated island resort complete with swimming pool. They're led by the warlord Marek, who wants John to prove himself worthy of joining the tribe by fighting Ralph above the pool. John easily bests him by just throwing his weapon into the man's chest, killing him and impressing Marek. He offers John the position that just opened up, but it's only a formality, as he intends to kill the newcomer if he refuses. John accepts the offer, but then pushes Marek into the pool and steals his rocket launcher and a spear on his way out. The Outsiders chase him through the jungle, where John uses his spear to trip one of his pursuers and breaks his neck. He then takes a tumble down a hill, injuring his leg when an outsider springs up out of a hole, but John puts the spear through his chest. Another gets stuck on a swinging log trap that John avoids, but he takes an arrow to the leg from Marek's Lieutenant Scab. Cornered on a cliff with nowhere to go, John tries to draw on the gang, but is shot in the neck by a blow dart and takes a tumble into the water below. Surviving the fall, he's dragged out by Hawkins and another prisoner group called the Insiders, who take them back to their village. When John wakes up, he finds himself in a much more established community living on the edge of a large lake. He's taken by Hawkins to their leader and a doctor called the Father, but it's his head of security, Hawkins, who asks John all of the questions. The Outsiders are about 600 strong, so the group find it suspicious that John was able to escape, as he's the first one to do it. Everyone else arrived nearly 20 years ago, before Marek's tribe grew so powerful, and now there's only 98 Insiders left alive. Since the newcomer brought them a powerful weapon, they ask John to join them, but he's still determined to escape the island. He's taken to meet the inventor Dysart, who's attempting to repair the broken launcher, and John connects with him over their knowledge of guns. He's then shown to a lookout on their tallest building, where Hawkins tries to talk John out of escaping, as the Warden can have attack choppers there in minutes. When returning home, John meets the healer king, who gives him ointment for his leg and says that with their lack of medication, a bad case of pink eye could kill you. The following morning, he meets Casey, who was given a life sentence for kidnapping, which led to murders when his partner killed the 2 hostages. He tells John that he's going to have to swim 200 miles through shark-infested ocean to make it home, and that doesn't include dealing with the gunship patrolling the coast. They go meet the merchant Stephano, who has a crew combing the island for any washed-up supplies like potatoes, underwear, and disposable razors. John's not interested unless he can provide them all with a boat, and that night he sneaks out while the sentry on duty falls asleep. He follows a procession taking supplies down to the shore, but Hawkins catches him and the 2 trade punches before John returns to the village. The following day, he learns from Casey that the island gets supply drops twice a month, but the more powerful tribe always claim them. The 2 go to meet the one-armed drunkard Killian, who's created an alcohol that gives you brain spasms and needs to grow on you. He takes a swing at John when he insults the taste, but they're interrupted by a sentencing for one of the villagers. Father finds the sentry guilty of endangering them when he fell asleep last night and has him banished from the settlement to survive on his own. Meanwhile, the Outsiders are fighting over rats, as they've come to the realization that they've chosen to follow the wrong leader. One inmate suggests they all take orders from the person who bested their current leader, but Marek lops his head off with a sword to keep them living in fear of him. He tells Scab that they need more land and food, so he suggests that they raid Father's settlement and claim they're part of the island. On Christmas Day, the Insiders have jury-rigged a tree and some speakers and spend the night partying while passing around gifts. Father gives a speech about the people they've lost over the last year, but John reminds them to also pray for the ones they've let die as well. Meanwhile, Marek's tribe begin the attack on the settlement by first tying ropes from the wall to a giant tree and begin to chop it down. The Insiders luckily have a spy in the Outsider ranks who alert them to the impending invasion, so they're able to get prepared in their seashell armor. John joins the archers on the battlement when the Outsiders open fire with small ballistas raining down flaming arrows onto the stronghold. Barely registering as a heat signature on the Warden's infrared satellite, they just let the 2 tribes war between themselves without stepping in. Soon the tree's felled and it rips a hole in the defenses, allowing Outsiders to gain entry into the village, where everyone except for Dysart fights with melee weapons. Father fights with a staff while Casey remains at a distance firing arrows, and Skull uses his martial arts to protect their leader. He's unfortunately injured in the battle, so Skull assists him up to his chambers at the top of their tower, expecting it to be better defended. They're wrong, as Marek and Scab have already swum inside during the battle and scaled the tower to wait for the enemy to fall back. Skull's bludgeoned unconscious while Marek offers seasonal greetings to Father, as it's been a long time since he was part of the Insiders. John's aware they made it inside and grapples to the top of the tower, where he finds Skull still alive and waiting for his moment to attack. When Marek is about to kill Father, John opens a trapdoor, dropping him to the floor below, and the two begin to fight around the chambers. Skull shoots through a glass of homebrew, setting Scab on fire, and he runs around the room burning until eventually Marek pushes him into the water. Knowing that they've lost the battle, the leader and his army retreat from the settlement, killing all of the Insiders they can on their way out. After the battle, the dead are burned when John has a flashback of murdering civilians, which is what led to him killing his commanding officer for giving the orders. He speaks with Killian, who says that Father was convicted for his wife's suspicious overdose, and he really is the only innocent person on the island. The location is not known about publicly and is the Warden's dirty little secret that he travels to the ends of the earth to keep from getting out. The next morning, John witnesses more Insiders carrying supplies out of the village and follows them to learn that they've secretly built a stealth boat to escape. Its cooling system is capable of avoiding the sensors, however attack choppers destroy it, leading Father to believe that there's an informant among them. Still determined to escape, John demands a spot on the next boat, but the seats are already taken by Insiders who've spent a decade planning the escape. While speaking to Dysart shortly after, he's told that the inventor's in prison for selling a bomb that was used to kill 50 people. He's currently converting an old Chevy engine into the power source for their escape boat, but requires a distributor they don't have. Returning to Father once again, John offers to retrieve the missing part from Marek's camp in exchange for a seat for himself and Casey. Father agrees, but warns John that anyone who escapes the prison risks being captured again, as it's their duty to draw outside attention to the island. Before leaving, John's approached by Stephano, who's been asking for his shoes for the whole movie, but John says that he'll need them as he'll be doing a lot of running. He's given some Molotov cocktails before making the trek through the island, while telling Casey not to follow or he'll get himself killed. The kid doesn't listen, and when John reaches the Outsiders' camp, Casey gets himself caught in a trap and captured by the gang. He's taken before Marek, who's killed all of the other tribes' leaders to unify the island's entire population of inmates under one leader. They torture Casey atop a bucket with a broken glass collar around his neck, while blades jab him in the legs trying to make him fall. It's a distraction enough, allowing John to sneak inside the resort and kill multiple guards on his way to relocating the part. He then causes a massive explosion, drawing all of the Outsiders away from Casey, so he's able to release him. But the pair are immediately recaptured by Marek and thrown into the pool, where he demands they fight each other to the death. Knowing that he would never make it out alive, Casey impales himself on John's spear so that he can at least have a chance to escape. Marek plans to execute the winner anyway, but John gets released by a traitor who wants redemption for what he's done against the Insiders. John returns to the village but finds Father's been suffering from cancer that he estimates will kill him in weeks without any proper treatment. Against everyone's desires, John convinces them to abandon the village, as they're massively outnumbered now that the enemy tribes have united. He receives Father's journal that'll reveal the secret of the island, and is told that he wants him to lead the village when he's gone, as the people look up to him. Remaining at the camp by himself to prepare a trap for Marek's inevitable attack, John finds the head of the man that freed him posted outside. All of a sudden, Outsiders swarm from the tree line in full force, but find the villages completely empty and all begin to laugh as they assume victory. Shouting from atop the tower, John draws the entire moronic gang towards him before using Marek's repaired launcher to ignite a bomb made by Dysart. It makes a heat signature unlike the Warden's satellite has ever seen before, so he scrambles attack choppers that he accompanies to the island. Most of the Outsiders die in the blast, while the rest are chased off by the now even larger Insiders force, who were just waiting for the signal to look intimidating. Father's become too weak to give his speech from atop the tower when suddenly Marek attacks, killing Skull in his final desperate attempt. He knocks John through the railing and he hangs on for his life, but Marek's distracted by Father, who he runs through with his sword. He dies almost immediately while John recovers and punches the warlord from the tower, impaling him on a spike below. When everything calms down, John lies to Hawkins, saying that Father wanted him to lead the village, as John still intends to return to civilization. They see thick smoke on the horizon and discover the new boat incinerated, along with Dysart having been betrayed and murdered. Evidence points towards King, and when they find a transmitter on him, he reveals that he was promised freedom by the Warden in exchange for doing it. John forces the terrified man to give the Warden new coordinates to land his helicopter on the island, where he expects to extract a helpful spy. Instead, John and some of the Insiders kill the security force and hijack the chopper. They throw the Warden out to see if he can survive with King until another chopper arrives, but the natives begin emerging from the surrounding tree line. Meanwhile, John escapes with Stephano, Killian and a few other inmates who vow to spread the truth with Father's journal. And the movie ends.